Oh, yeah, my name is Avekash Gupta, and I will be presenting on semantic versioning. What semantic versioning is actually a solution to dependency management. There can be many solutions that can be for dependency management. This is one of the most popular that is used these days. Now, the I'll talk about why dependency management is so important these days and last 10 years or so. And then I'll talk about package managers, which handle dependency management, dependency hell, which is a mathematical concept and how to avoid that. Semantic versioning is one of the solutions if you follow that, but it's not necessary. I mean, it's more of the community discipline that can solve this problem. I'll talk about the constant tension that exists, and in the end, I'll give a demo between how Ruby handles the dependency and the versioning versus Node way of doing things, the same thing. Both have a both follow a very different approach in terms of how they handle. There are certain similarities as well as differences in talk about them. What is dependency? So if you write something, if you are supposed to write the package and you need something, let's say you need to generate UUID or you need to connect to a different machine and run some remote commands on that. The earlier, probably 10 years back, when the open source world was had not exploded, would be the right word. What you need to do everything these days. Whatever programming language or framework you use, everything is solved. If it's Ruby, you get gems, which can do this work for you. For Node, there are packages. Chef is a way of managing the infrastructure. There are standard cookbooks that are available on GitHub, and you can use them to build your own things. So what you do is essentially write the main logic and algorithms, and you use packages in Node or gems, certain external things to do a lot of work for you. Now, since these are not written by you, these are written by somebody else, some other organization, as well as open source people. Uh, there may be breaking changes. So, let's say you are using something for let's stick to example of doing running an SSH command on a different machine. Now there may be a bug which needs to be fixed. What will happen? What will happen to the new version, that is new package that will be released or the gen? So you need to manage that these things as well. What happens is the versions come here. So if let's say I'm using version one of something, uh, for simplicity, I'm just using one part version. The next version, I will fix up something and release it at version 2, which people can use and they can solve their problem. And incrementally, I can keep updating the version and people can use the new version. Sounds so simple, but I'll talk about what problems come with that. Now, talking about package managers are, let's say you want to download uh, gems in Ruby. So there are Ruby gems, or you can use Bundler. For Java, you can use Gradle or Maven. Node.js, you can use NPM. I can I'll show you how. I mean, there are files where you define. Everybody who's doing a software development must have seen these files where package and their version ranges are defined. So moving, when I said it sounds so simple, but it's not. Why? Let's say these component. There are interdependency between components. You have one component which depends on another component, the lib A to lib B to lib C, and finally it depends on lib Z. So you want to use to do run SSH. SSH will use a TCP gem for doing the handshake, for example. So there are layers and layers of dependencies. So you may require some three things, and you open source your version. Whoever uses your version will have to install all the three that you depend on. The thing doesn't end there. They have to install not all the three gems that you depend on. They'll have to install the exact version or the version ranges that you depend on. Then there are conflict of dependencies. Let's say lib A depends on lib B, which depends on version 1 of lib C. So it can only function with version 1. Lib A in itself depends on lib C version 2. How do we handle these situations? Um, libc version 1 and version 2 both are required. Certain frameworks, various frameworks have various ways of solving it. Ruby says, no, I'll not allow this to happen. While Node has a different way of handling things, every language can have I'll show why why I have chosen Node and Ruby is because they are very different and in which they'll handle it. So this conflicting dependency will not work in Ruby while this work in Node. Then there is cyclic dependency. Lib A depends on B, depends on C, depends on D, which in turn depends on B. So there's a cycle. So these are so this cyclic dependency is a mathematical concept. I have not mentioned versions, but that can be broken down. I mean, um, if the dependency manager software is smart enough, then it can handle these complexities. It's I'll not probably go into the how this is handled mathematically. It's a different concept in itself, but just to give an hint to the people who are here, it's basically getting a transitive closure of acyclic directed graph. And it's not necessary that there can be one solution. There can be multiple solutions that can satisfy the same problem. I mean, multiple solutions can exist for the same problem. Now, I talked about specifying the dependencies. So Ruby, both of them have equality. So Ruby, you say, I want this exact version of this gem. Otherwise, you can say, I want a version which is greater than. Uh, like if you go to the website, there are, it has a lot, I can show you the website. This is Ruby. It says semantic versioning. So it talks about let me just go exactly to the point. There are various. Just give me some time. No, it's not there. So you say equal to, you say greater than equal to, then you have a pessimistic dependencies uh, that you can use. There are various. So, like, similarly for Node, they have character ranges, they have tilde ranges, standard comparators, lots of other things. You can read the website. I've just given a very small subset of this. Now, semantic versioning is one of the ways of solving this problem. I'll give you a demo of the problem and then we'll talk about the solution that exists. So this is Ruby, and I say install all the files that are there in. So I say I need a gem Thor, mixed with Shellout. Chef is one of the gems. Yeah, just AWS SDK. I need REST version greater than 2.0. So these are the versions that I need, and these are the gems. I've commented this hash means this is a comment. So I say give me all this. Let's see what it says. It says I cannot give you all this because in your gem file, let me just start my gem file. You say that you need rest lines greater than 2.0, this line, and there's a gem shift here, which is 11.18.12. So I resolved it to 11.18.12, and gem shift this version exactly says that gives me rest line which is greater than equal to 1.6.7, less than equal to 1.6.7 but greater than 1.0.4. So these two are conflicting dependencies. I will not be able to solve them. Now if I change my gem file and I say give me rest line 1.6.6 and I run the same command again. This is the gem server that it is talking to. It's a standard gem server where everybody goes their open source gems. And it says I have done that. So if we look at the REST line, it says I'm using REST line 1.6.6, which is there, which I require. If I change this version of gem file, and if I say give me the install all the versions, okay. It says sure, I've given you 1.6. Whatever you say, like exactly log, you can say greater than, less than, whatever you say, until some other gem has a conflicting dependency, this works. Let's go to, it's a very complex problem. I'm just giving you a feel of it because when you develop software, when you do the deployments, it's it's a mess. It's a mess because of this thing. I say I want AWS SDK tilde 2.2. So tilde 2.2 means that I can do with any of the versions which is of the form 2.x, where x is greater than 2. So I can do with 2.3, 2.4, 2.3.4. All these will suffice for me. Now what problem does it create is I package my own gem. Give this gem file. So in gem there is a different way of defining dependencies, but I give this to somebody that you install and you use this gem file and start implementing things. Okay, he's fine. The source means where you have to install your gem stuff. So it is working. Now 2 weeks down the line, this is a company standard. You say everybody who does the development in the organization which will have to use these gems. So just go ahead and install them. So a new person comes in, just does button install, and his laptop is set up to do the development. AWS goes ahead and releases a new version of the gem, which is 2.2.4. Sorry. Which is 2.2.4. It was 2.2.3 when you released it. They release a new version of the gem, and that version depends on Yarjuf, which is 3.0. Anybody who's trying to install use this file to install the gems, will not be able to do so because you have now have a conflict. While you have not changed the gem file, what actually has changed is the outside word that has changed. Are people here with me, or this is getting too little mathematical? Right. Um, so, so this is one of the problems that usually you feel. This is a very simple thing. There are complex cases that occur because of this. Because I'm talking about a new person, but let's say you have developed something which works on the production server. There's an issue on the production server. The server goes down. The DevOps person comes and he says, "Okay, I have a script which I'll run, and it should come up." It doesn't come up because and your production server is down, and you have a script which is a backup script which you just run. It works. It doesn't work now because the output word again has changed. So it's a tricky thing which you can get into whenever you are using softwares. One of the solutions that people propose is to lock down all these versions, which is only use equality. That instead of this, saying it like this line number 9, um, you just use equality that I want version 1.6.7. Um, that is one of the ways of solving this problem. But probably, I think I'll recommend it for production servers that the version should be locked so that whenever you have a production incident happening, you resolve it as quickly as possible. You don't get any other things that happen. But for in general, this is not recommended. The reason is if you lock down the version, if there is a security patch that has come up, you will not know that it has come up. Everybody will be using the old version. And if everything is locked, the moment you unlock it, uh, let's say you want to, the word has moved, you are using something which is very locked. I mean, if this is being used, it will automatically take up the latest version. But if you lock it, after 2 months you try to unlock it, it's a it's again you may not there may be problems when you unlock it because you'll have to find that certain these are very small gem files. Gem files if you actually in production servers are very large and it's difficult to get the exact versions which overlap with each other. But there are tools like the bundle that I had used. It creates yeah actually install creates a gem file.log for you. So it says that what it's found, what which word. So chef depends on chef zero and all these versions. So it basically opens up the complete graph, dependency graph. Total there are 98 gems that you require to install these 6 gems. The dependency is like this. Because essentially AWS SDK is depending on something else, which is depending on something else, which is depending on something else. And it's not just it is depending, it depends on exact version. Chef depends on Chef 0 with these version constraints. There can be, so the problem that we had was with REST line. So this is 1.6.7, while Chef depends on Chef has this dependency over REST line. So this is how this is how Ruby manages dependency. Node has a very different paradigm for managing dependency. So it has package file where you can say what my dependency is. I have again AWS SDK and there are various dependencies. Now, when I install this, So there are two things here. One is the underlying logic of handling dependencies. There are packages, then packages have versions, which is same. How you handle them is completely different. Now, if you actually, so I can, so what Node does, what Ruby's way of is that every software will use the same version of, so if, let's say here, I'll go in. So this REST line would be, there will be only one REST line which would be used by everybody else. So the chef has to use the same REST line, and if I have my own script which uses this REST line, it will use the same REST line. That's why it does not permit two REST lines to, to exist in the same folder. While it's very different with Node. What Node says, Node says everything is local. So when you install, actually I did an install back some time here. So what I can do it again. What Node does is that it says I'll install everything locally. So I have a Node modules folder. Now I said that I'll give you an example here. What is happening? So there is a package by the name of UUID. It generates a unique ID. There's RFC, it implements this RFC. There's a typical implementation, this npm package. So I said I need version 1.0.0. Cat means 1.x will do for me. While I have a different package, GOVI. So if I see my node modules, there is a UUID package. And it has all the code that is required. But the interesting thing is, GOVI is also installed. GOVI has its own node modules. And there's a UUID version there as well. So two versions, if you look at this UUID, this is version 2.1.3, which is GOVI dependent. So at the same time, multiple versions of the same packages will be executed. And it is at the runtime when it will be decided which UUID to be used, because there are multiple UUIDs. While in bundle, in Ruby world, this will not be the case, because there is only one version of REST client that is there, which will be shared by everybody else. Again, this is a simple example of a module. There can be multiple, these dependencies are quite simple. The list is usually very long if you are developing a production software. And if there are, so what is the drawback of this model, of the node model? The benefit is that multiple versions can be installed. If you have a conflicting dependency, you don't have to care about that. You just say, I need this, node says, I'll take care of that. There will not be conflict. Like Ruby says, I'm not able to find it. The hit is at the runtime. When the software is running, it has to decide which UUID it has to use. There are multiple versions. Some packages may be using a different UUID and some may be using a different UUID. So that is a runtime hit that you take. While in the Ruby, there is only one REST line that is loaded and is used. Again, which is better depends on, so it is for same frameworks, there can be different ways of managing dependencies. This is a bundle way of managing dependencies that I said. There may be different package managers for the same languages. So I gave an example. Ruby, Java has two, C doesn't have any to manage dependency. You have to write your own make file and install things. Java has two, so You can use, if one is not suiting your taste, you can use a different one. Usually they are in the same flavor, so you don't have much of a choice if you have if the framework is fixed. But still, there are some choices that are available. Uh, so this now Java has a so has somebody seen in Java that I am not able to typecast com.apache.package. Hive to com.apache.package.hive. These kind of these kind of problems exist in Java. Now, what is happening here is that one package, uh, one software uses a different version, and then they are in their code they are trying to pass one object to the other object, and that typecasting is not working because the version is so it's not necessary that it will not work always, but sometimes it may happen that they are not compatible and it does not work. So now moving ahead, what does semantic versioning say? When I told you about the word moves in the Ruby word as well. In the Node, it doesn't make a difference, but it, so how in Node it can make a difference, I'll show you. It doesn't break things, but this is what will happen. The UUID I have said depends on tilde 1.0.0. Somebody may release 1.0.3, 1.3.0, and still again, so somebody who is using this package.json will may find a different behavior altogether because that UUID may have a different behavior as compared to this UUID. There may be a bug which is fixed. So what semantic versioning says is to solve this exact problem of the word moving. That usually so it's a pretty elaborate description of how to use it. I'm just giving some major points. You can go to the main website which I have mentioned in the reference and look at it. It is important for the community to respect it because you are dependent on somebody else for the packages. So it's more like if you follow it and everybody follows it, it works. If only you follow it, it won't work. So it's about a community thing. The versioning should be x dot y dot z. The it should be non-negative numbers, must not contain leading zeros. X is a major version, y is a minor, z is a patch version. Once this is how each element must increase numerically to 1.9.0. Then you release 1.10.0 and then you release 1.11.0. And then you release 2.0.0. More like decimally, like the decimal system increments. This is three-part decimal which increments. Once a version package has been released, the content of that version must not be modified. Any modification must be released as a new version. So if you have released, put your package to the online world, don't modify the contents. Always change the version when you modify the content. A patch version, which is Z in this case, must be incremented if only backward compatible bug fixes are introduced. Backward compatible, I hope everybody understands what is backward compatible from. So if it's a backward compatible bug fix, then you change Z. Minor version is incremented if the backward compatible functionality is introduced. I'll not read the full paragraph, it will be very good. You can just read it in the website. Major version must be implemented if any backward incompatible changes are introduced. So what this means is, I am sure that if backward compatibility is maintained, if I say I need version which is less than 3, greater than 2, which is of the form 2.x.y, where x and y can vary. If the community follows this, I'm sure there will not be any backward incompatible changes, and I can go ahead and release without fixing the exact version. That way, whenever I reinstall the software, latest bug fixes as well as new functionalities can come in. If I am very pessimistic, I can fix the first two versions, because typically what happens is when you release a new functionality, you in general release a bug with that as well. So if this software is very sensitive, I am very pessimistic. I can fix the first two versions and leave the third version open, so that if there is any bug, that gets fixed, and that takes care of the I mean, I get the bug fixes as well as I'm open. So what is the problem that we are trying to solve here is stability, where you pin down exact versions. You are very stable. The even if the word changes, you don't care, because you have said what I need is need, and everybody is in the same framework. And the tension on the other side, but what you lose is you are not moving ahead with the word. The word is moving and you are staying at your place. While if you open up the version, I've talked about this earlier, then you are you are foregoing the stability, but you are moving ahead with the word. And as with the softwares, you move ahead with the bugs that are getting there, as well as incompatible changes that are there. So, repeating the earlier point for emphasis, if it's a production system, go with the stability. For your own developer system, probably move with the bug fix comes in, and you are working on something important. The morning you get in, it's the problem is you install the software and it doesn't install. How do you debug that? So it can be frustrating at times, but I recommend this for development. I've already given the demo. These are the first one talks about in detail for about the semantic versioning. It's a full page introduction. The next is how to Ruby handles the dependency, and the third is how does Node handle this implementation of semantic versioning for Ruby and Node is on this page. Any questions?
What's the, when talking about packages or software, what's the rationale behind starting from version 0 point something, instead of going from 1 point something? Because it makes sense when you're going from one to the user side, making backwards incompatible changes. But why start from 0 point?
Okay. So the question is, why do people release 0.10.12 rather than starting from 1.10.12? The reason there is what semantic versioning says is that if a package is like Kafka is Kafka is a streaming solution for in the big data world, it's used for streaming things. It's a zero version. Kafka is presently zero version. What that means is these rules of patch version upgrade, bug fixes, minor patch version upgrade when bug fix is there, minor version upgrade when new functionality is there, and backward incompatible changes will result in a major version upgrade. It just means that software is not stable. You use it at your own risk. We will not follow the semantic versioning principles, because zero is not fixed. So 1.3.4 and 0.3.4 and 0.3.5 may have incompatible changes. That you have to take. That answers the question. So how often do people face this versioning issues? Anybody from DevOps? No DevOps? All developers?
We faced once in this notice when we were working with them. So there was some problem with the latest version was not working. So that is when we figured out that the greater when we actually changed it, we made it compulsory that you just download this particular package. And we went to GitHub, we went to the issues. There they were saying it's okay, it doesn't destroy the world. So what with it?
Okay. So basically, the version was completely open, greater than 2.3.15, let's say, and a new version was released, which is like word. The word is moving. New version had some major problems because of which the system broke. What is the production server? Uh, okay. Yeah. So you pinned down the version, or you still used some
Yeah, it ate up from 2 3 days.
2 3 days of a production issue?
Yeah, because we couldn't figure out what was going on. We
Right.
never faced such an issue.
Okay.
We were like picking it up and like, okay, packaging is downloading.
Yeah, because initially when the software stops working, the first hunch is what's wrong with us rather than what's wrong with the tools that I'm using. These things ultimately do not come to mind. So pinning down, or still you use some sort of openness? Openness in the sense that you can pin down the. So one is you say I just need 1.3.14, or you can say I can do with any of 1.3.x. The third is you can say I can do with any of 1.x.y, where x and y can vary. So, I mean, it's a production server, probably pinning down is, is the best option.
Yeah, I don't know what happened after that, but at that particular point of time, we were like, okay, we'll go with this particular version.
Right.
Just because we, as you said, like we what we wanted was stability. We have to run.
Right. Production definitely. Nobody else says this versioning issues in the development world? Right. 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 Yeah, I can understand what the problem that you're saying. One of the cheats that you can use is you can create your own package. No, these kind of cheats are only the solution in Node.js. It's a risky word if you keep it open. Yeah, I mean exactly. So that's what it's a community-driven thing. Everybody, people are leaving it open. The problem with in your case is that people are leaving it open. They are not following the semantic versioning, where the first version should in fact always be logged if you are using anything in the public domain, so that other people don't face the problem like you are facing. It can just create a havoc in the system. Any other experiences? No. Hmm. Oh. Mhm. It's for Node. Oh, Elm language. So there's a language. They have created a language which enforces semantic dependencies. Uh-huh. Yeah.
quite,
Mhm.
becoming quite popular. There's a functional programming in the Java.
Mhm.
Very
Okay. Okay.
much like Haskell.
Okay.
So that package manager enforces semantic. If I want to publish the package to the repository, it will not allow me to use my own version. It will auto version.
Ah.
Based on semantic.
No.
I read about it recently because it got a lot of
Arrange.
attention.
And their implementation. So software always this versioning problem always has two problems. One is the mathematical concept behind it, and second is the implementation. The bugs are usually in the implementation. The mathematical concepts are quite fine. So how is the implementation of the LLM language? Like, are they able to manage that, or?
I'm not so sure. I just read an article about it. I have not played with it much.
Mhm.
Just pull down the basic. But they have something similar to the greater than or less than. That's the sort of syntax is there in the m.package.json.
Okay.
You can still change what version you want to target.
Mhm.
But if you as a package maintainer are publishing a package, it will not allow you to package something that does not follow syntax. And it will give you a diff saying that you have changed this.
Right. Right. Interesting way of solving the problem. The only thing is, if my code is pretty large, they'll take a good enough time to figure out whether it is broken or not. So that's a tough problem that they have solved. Usually, when tough problems are solved, they come with a lot of bugs and corner cases are not covered.
Yeah, it's
So,
pretty brand new language.
right.
So only very few people are using it. But for functional programmers, it's interesting because it's a kind of very easy to pick up functional programming language.
Right.
In the browser.
Right. Sure. If anybody has any questions, or we'll take a break. Yeah.